What if I told you that the food in your kitchen is one of the few things standing between modern life and chaos? Right now, your refrigerator is not empty. There is probably bread, rice, snacks, oil, or something waiting to be eaten. And your mind quietly assumes a simple truth: tomorrow there will be more food. But imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that the world's food supply has stopped. No grocery stores, no delivery trucks, no warehouses, no new harvests. And the most terrifying part is that you would not be the only hungry person. Your neighbors would be hungry. Your city would be hungry. Your country would be hungry. For the first 24 hours, most people would stay calm. They would cook what they already have. They would tell that after 72 hours, people would begin to change. And after 7 days, history suggests that human beings start eating things that would disgust them today: grass, tree bark, boiled leather, insects, rats, and sometimes nothing more than a small piece of animal fat. But the real question is not what humans would eat. The real question is what hunger would do to humans. When food disappears, do people lose their appetite first or their humanity? The first day feels almost normal. Refrigerators open and close. Families cook quickly. Some trust the government. Some trust their savings. Some believe they prepared well enough. Yet history's greatest mistakes often begin with the same sentence: "This cannot happen to us." By the second day, the shelves begin to empty. Not luxury food, not pizza, not burgers. The first things to vanish are flour, rice, oil, and salt. The foods that keep people alive disappear first because hunger does not search for flavor. Hunger searches for energy. The third day is where the mind begins to change. You see food everywhere: a commercial on television, a photo on your phone, a memory from childhood, the smell of bread that is not even there. A hungry brain becomes obsessed with a single thought: food. Now imagine having only 2 bags of rice left. You are not alone. Your parents are there. Your partner is there. Your children are there. And suddenly you realize that hunger is not only a problem of the stomach, hunger is a test of relationships. What was the most terrifying thing in human history? War? Disease? No. An empty kitchen. Because when there is no food in the house, people begin to fear the future itself. And this is where the story becomes truly disturbing. During real famines, people have eaten grass, boiled tree bark, softened leather for hours, insects, rats, and the fat scraped from animal bones. It sounds impossible now, but when hunger becomes real, people stop choosing what tastes good. They choose what keeps them alive. Travel back 5,000 years. A small group sits around a fire on a freezing night. Hunting has failed for days. An old man is breaking bones, not for meat, for the marrow hidden inside. Because marrow means fat. Fat means energy. For many ancient humans, the most valuable part of an animal was not the meat. It was the fat. When the body is fighting cold, hunger, and exhaustion, fat becomes survival itself. But an even greater danger appears when food is completely gone. In a city, there are no forests full of deer. There are millions of hungry people, and that is the moment when civilization's weakest point begins to crack: trust. People stand in lines, then they push, then they hide food, then they lie, then they steal. History shows the same pattern again and again. When food becomes scarce, society begins to change, and we have not reached the darkest part yet. As we continue, we will discover what prolonged hunger does to the human brain, why some people hide food while others give it away, why a mother may sacrifice her own meal, and the one survival strategy that allowed ancient humans to endure famine when they should have disappeared. Because the deeper we go into the history of hunger, the more terrifying the real question becomes: what is the last thing a human being is willing to lose in order to stay alive? Day 4. You are no longer just hungry. You feel weak. Walking feels heavier. Your patience is disappearing. You get angry more easily. And the strangest part is this: your mind is beginning to change. Scientists have found that prolonged hunger can affect attention, self-control, and decision-making. But history tells us something even more disturbing. A starving person does not simply become weaker. A starving person begins to think differently. Imagine two people standing in front of you. One has food, the other does not. On a normal day, you might share. But when you know that tomorrow you may have nothing left for yourself, your brain asks a new question. If I give this away, will I survive? This is the moment when the line between human and animal begins to blur. There have been famines in history where people hid food inside their homes, kept pots looking empty, told children to eat slowly, and ate quietly at night so the neighbors would not hear. Because hunger does not stay in the stomach, it becomes fear. But hunger has another face as well. Imagine a mother holding a small bowl of porridge. She has been hungry for 3 days, and yet she pushes the bowl toward her child. Moments like this have been recorded throughout history during wars, famines, and sieges, and they reveal one of the most shocking truths about humanity. Hunger can make people cruel, but the same hunger can also make people unimaginably selfless. So how did ancient people survive famine again and again? They discovered a secret so important that it may have helped create civilization itself. Save the food, dry the meat, smoke it over a fire, store the fat separately, hide seeds in clay containers, bury dried roots underground, and most importantly, do not eat everything today. It sounds simple, but that idea separated humans from almost every other animal. Most animals eat when food is available. Humans learned to think, the future exists, and once people began storing food, something extraordinary happened. They stayed in one place. Settlements appeared, villages formed, fields were planted, and civilization began. Think about that for a moment. The greatest invention in human history may not have been the wheel. It may have been the first storage room, but now comes a darker question. What happens if food remains scarce for months? First people eat the dry food, then the animals, then wild plants, then things they never once considered edible. History shows that during long famines, people boiled leather, ground grass into paste, made soup from bones, and sometimes went to sleep drinking only hot water to trick the body into feeling full. Now imagine your own kitchen, an empty container, an empty bottle, an empty plate, and outside your door, millions of people facing the same reality. This is why food is not just food. It is order. It is trust. It is peace. Today, we waste it. We leave half a piece of bread. We throw away rice. We let food spoil in the refrigerator because our minds assume that tomorrow there will always be more. Most of your ancestors could never think that way. For them, every bite carried a question. Will this keep us alive until tomorrow? And now the final question. If you had one last piece of bread and your family was standing in front of you, would you share it or say? Because that question has tested human beings for thousands of years. And the next time you sit down to eat, do not think only about taste. Think about how many people fought hunger so that we could learn how to preserve food. Because the day food disappears, it is not only the stomach that becomes empty. That is the day the true face of humanity is revealed.